Welcome into the PHNX Sun Devil Show, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe, even leave a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. I am Anthony Dotry, joined on this emergency podcast by Sean DePaz, Shane Diefenbach. Guys,
let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. You're joined by the shell of Sean DePaz. I have left my body.
Brother,
only my physical form.
What are we doing?
That's a great question, Shane. We are going live because there is a report out now confirmed by multiple outlets that Arizona State softball coach Trisha Ford will be leaving to become the next softball coach at Texas A&M. Boys, I'm at a loss for words.
So this is just so. Remember how like a week ago I was like, all those people saying always something university need to shut up. I just don't care anymore until the problem is pulled up and uprooted out of ASU. And I think we all know who we're talking about, because this is based on one thing and one thing only, and that's getting a raise. And that's getting more money, and that's playing in a better conference, and that's it's based on a better program. It's based on more heritage, and ASU just doesn't have that, and it's clear they don't have it, and it's not going to change until something up top changes. Because if you're going to sit here and try to tell me that this isn't based on, if this is just based on her wanting to go to a different school, I'm going to tell you you're lying, because it's not true.
It's not true.
Well, it could be because you want to leave ASU. It's not because you want to go to a different school because you think you can prosper there. No, it's because you want to leave ASU. She mentored these women. She built a program up. She had Sydney Sanders commit in the 8th grade. And it's all gone. It's all gone because of one person.
I mean, she's 44 years old. We know what the SEC pays coaches in comparison to a lot of other conferences, a lot of other programs. We have talked on the show previously about how deserving Tricia Ford is of a raise. I have spoke to multiple people inside of the program in the athletic department within the last hour. Some not even, they can't confirm the report because they quite literally didn't know that it was happening. So this is very fluid. This is something that has literally shocked people within the program because it is kind of out of nowhere. But I just want to put it into comparison. The SEC is willing to pay coaches what they deserve, right? My previous experience, we bring it up jokingly about Notre Dame, Brian Kelly, whatever. Brian Kelly changed Notre Dame football. Trisha Ford has changed ASU softball. And guess what? Because of that, just like Brian Kelly did, she is going to get a bag from SEC. Yeah. I would not be shocked if she is the highest paid softball coach in the SEC.
So here are the numbers. Joe Evans, coach of A&M last year, $312,000 in 2020. Trisha Ford made $217,000 this year.
Yeah.
So you put that in comparison. Those are base salaries. Those are without bonuses. So you think of making the Women's College World Series. You think of all the things that she's going to do great with that program because, of course, and David brings up a good point, she's literally going to a lesser conference. The Pac-12 is a better conference. Yeah. She's just getting the bag that she deserves. And to leave this, like, Irish goodbye, has to make you think, did she just, she probably just knew, I'm not going to get paid here. They don't give a shit about me.
Yeah.
It very much feels like I don't think she necessarily wanted to leave ASU. Right? I think she liked it here. I think it was very much, to me, it seems like the kind of thing where you hear where they're like, I'll go if you pay me this much.
Yeah.
And then they were
Brian Kelly?
Oh, we'll pay you that much. And she's like, oh, well, shit, I guess I'm moving to College Station now. But it goes back to what they pay coaches what they deserve. The SEC cares about winning in whatever sport it is. They care. They don't really care at ASU. And you could get into a conversation if you want about whether or not that's what a school should be focusing on. Because Michael Crow, I feel like, has made it very clear, and I'll get into that in a second, but he's made it very clear that he doesn't really care all that much about winning as much as he does innovation academically and stuff like that, which is fair. Whatever. But the SEC clearly cares about winning. And when you look at what Oklahoma did today, right? They embarrassed UCLA. They embarrassed a Pac-12 team nonetheless. Oklahoma is going to the SEC. Like A&M is in a situation where, like, if we want to win, we need the best in every
And they
way.
saw that. They
saw that. And so enter Trisha Ford. To what I wanted to what I really, like, my initial thought when I saw this is, like I said, Michael Crow just really doesn't give a shit. Like, people are going to want to blame Ray, and he deserves some blame, right? He's the athletic director. But at the end of the day, the one that gives him his money and ultimately decides how much he wants to spend on the athletic programs is Michael Crow. And he just does not give a shit about this softball team or really anything other than
athletics in
football.
general, man. Athletics
I mean,
in general.
yeah.
Because softball,
yeah.
right? Softball, we've talked about. Again, if you're new to the show, if you're joining us right now, ASU softball coach Trisha Ford reportedly leaving to become the next softball coach at Texas A&M. Just an absolute giant blow to the program, but they don't care. It's your number one sport outside of triathlon, right? We talk about triathlon, we give them their flowers. ASU softball, a big sport relative to winning around here in the Pac-12, right? A historic season. You have the Pac-12 Coach of the Year. You won the Pac-12. You have the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. You have a first-team All-American. You have a second-team All-American. And you're getting the majority of this team back next year. A team that, like, quite literally could have. Now we don't even get me started on what that could be next year, because we may see the not the Renaissance, but the Exodus, like
yes.
we saw from ASU football to ASU softball. I would not be shocked if you start seeing those goodbyes and transfer portal announcements in the coming week.
When we started talking about this softball team before the season started, we talked to Maddie Hackbarth, and what was her whole story is Trisha Ford was so important to me that I left my school and came to Tempe to stay playing for her.
Yeah.
You talked about Sydney Sanders, who committed to this team in the 8th grade. You talk with all the women that we've talked to.
They're committed to Sydney, not the program. Or they're committed to
Trisha,
not
to
the
Coach
program.
Ford. Yeah, 100%. And I mean, some of them I'm sure have, like Jazz, for example, entering her senior year at ASU. It's probably harder for her to want to make that decision like that. But you look at someone like Sydney Sanders, who's to say that she doesn't want to follow Coach Ford, right? So that's my concern, is that we're just going to start seeing what we saw with football and just a hemorrhaging of the talent.
It's not even just football, though. Like, we've talked about it. We've talked about football. Jay Daniels, all these guys want to go get their NIL, go get the bag. But guess what? It's one thing if we're just talking about football, right? But it's not. We talked about basketball.
Exactly.
They lost their best player from last year, Jalen Grant, right? We're talking about now in basketball, lost Jay Heat. Baseball, their season wrapped up a week and a half ago. They've already got 4 or 5 guys, 2 just today, that have announced that they're entering the transfer portal. And now you've got softball, which was your lifeblood at this point of, like, your future, right? We have something to look forward to as Arizona State fans. Now what? Because I guarantee you, if Sid walks, she will not be the only one.
No.
She will not be the only one to walk.
And I'm seeing a lot of this in the chat. SEC schools pay more, blah, blah, blah. Sure. Well, that's 100% true. I mean, this is not new, as Joe says. But at the same time, you don't pay softball coaches as much as you pay other coaches. Yeah. And when you have somebody so special like this, you do everything in your power to keep them. I don't care what conference you're in. This is something that you could reach into your pockets for. This is not out of the question. And again, it gets me going back to the fact that it was so abrupt. And I know it was probably just a leaked source and whatever, and she didn't want it to happen like this. But still, like, it just gets me thinking that this was coming. Like, this was coming.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe this is not necessarily, like, not paying softball coaches, right? Specifically, might not be an ASU problem. It might be a conference problem, whatever. Yeah. But it goes back to kind of what we were saying. If this is happening in a vacuum, it hurts, but it is what it is. But when you put this together with what's happening, they lost their basketball coach, which is obviously different. CTT retired, and rightfully so. So you deserve that. But you look at what's happening with football. Yeah, but you look about what happened with football. You look at what happened with basketball. Obviously, it's a little different situation. They've gotten players to come here, but they lost who was set to be their best player next year, right? Like, this is that is an ASU problem. No other program in the Pac-12 is hemorrhaging coaching talent, and by virtue of that, athletic talent like ASU is. I don't know. It's as much as I want to sit here and be positive, it's really hard to keep defending the athletic program in the state that
they're making it impossible. Connor
Yeah.
asking, so who's on the radar for ASU? I don't care right now because
I
you just
don't
lost the best situation you had.
Yeah, I mean,
in defense, to answer that question before we really get too far into it, ASU softball is a storied program. So and given the roster that they have, this is unlike any of the other sports that lost people. So you can imagine that this is going to be a highly sought after position. But don't be surprised. I'm looking at the exact name right now. But don't be surprised if they hire from within, if they promote. Exactly. Jeff Harger, I believe, is the hitting coach for ASU softball. He's an assistant coach. We've seen what he's been able to do with the lineup that they have. Again, a lot of that you got to give credit to the talent of the team, the recruiting. But Harger, a guy who's been under Ford, clearly he's also got a relationship. We talked with Jazz, we talked with Sid about their relationship with Harger and how important he has been to them. So this would be, if you want to keep your players, this is, in my mind, this is your best decision, right? Show fans that you're about it, right? And again, we don't know what the conversation behind closed doors with Ray and Tricia is. Quite honestly, I'm not sure if that conversation has even been had. Going back to the whole Brian Kelly thing, my experience is Notre Dame didn't get an opportunity to rebuttal. Kelly just wanted out. He took his money, said sayonara. He felt his time was up. Maybe that's the case here. Maybe Ford felt she did everything that she could do to accomplish at Arizona State. Now maybe the coaching search begins when this becomes official, and maybe it is Harger, maybe it is other names. But again, right now, Shane, to your point, right now it's just kind of like a holy shit, like ASU lost its best coach.
Yeah, and Jacob's saying we got to start getting people to games. Maybe if people show support to the programs that aren't given any higher level, they'll eventually get the support they deserve. The support for the softball team is one of the best at ASU. In football, I can understand why fans don't want to go to that. Basketball too sometimes, but it's also just a vicious cycle. If you can't be good, people don't want to go to the games. People don't want to go to the games. You can't be good, and you don't want to put effort into it. Yeah. At some point, you have to buckle down and figure out what your priorities are. And I feel like ASU just doesn't have any. They just don't know what they are or what they want. The sleeping giant mantra, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Until they're given fans a reason to feel confident. And this was the most confident I felt about an ASU sport in so long. And this is going to leave a wound that is fresh and large for a very long time for every sport.
What I would have loved to see is, and maybe this is me just reaching here, and maybe it's still too fresh, still too new. But what I would have loved to have seen is we saw Herm Edwards and Ray Anderson out at Club Farrington for, I believe it was the regional round, in support of ASU softball, right? We are all very well aware of Herm and how much money he makes and the argument that he should not have a job here, etc. If he wanted to help his legacy in any sense, in reviving it, saving it, if he wanted to prove that he was a man of the people or a man for ASU, my first call, if I'm Ray, is to Herm. And I'm like, bro, I need your help. I've got your back, right? I'm making sure your ass has a job when you probably really shouldn't. Do me a solid and give Tricia Ford a call. Give Tricia Ford a call. And if I'm Herm, like, you're making your bag, bro. Like, here's $100,000, Tricia. Stay, bro. Like,
but the thing is it shouldn't have to come to that.
I know, and it shouldn't have to come to that, and it's not his job to do. But I'm saying again, and I hate to spin it on Herm like it's his fault, because this isn't Herm's fault. But like, you see where I'm coming from? Like, if you want to save something, like, and you know you're in the wrong, like, maybe this is where you start.
But also, I think you're right, Totri. I think it's just, I don't think they had a chance. I think it was, I think they probably saw this news like a lot of people did, and probably just came upon them. And the like, there's not really much you can do, because either she just got offered a lot of money and she didn't want to turn that down, or she knew, or a combination of both, and she just knew that they weren't going to be able to pay her that much. And whether that be a Pac-12 problem, an ASU problem, whoever problem, it's still a problem at the root. And when you're losing consistently like this, not just on the field, but off the field with news like this, I mean, once again, it's just so ASU.
And now you got to look at the recruits. We've talked about the Jazz, Sid, Yanira, Alina. God knows what's going to be transpiring for them over the course of the next couple of days, weeks. Again, so a conversation we did not expect to have. Sean, you and I talked about this last week when Shane was off. Of ASU softball is not a program where people transfer out. We quote unquote, that is what I said, because they have Trisha Ford. Now, guess what? Now, the one reason that people transfer into this program has got up and said, guess what? I've done all I can do here. Time to go. What the fuck does that do to the confidence of the girls? And now you've got a bunch of recruits. Not only do you have girls like Riley Valentine, you've got Yanira's little sister in Yanixa that can also follow suit. If you're Yanira, right, you're on your last year, assuming she comes back to ASU. Tricia Ford's gone. If you're not promoting harder, then what do you say? Yeah. If she's playing the role of the big sister here, what do you tell your little sister?
Yeah, I also even if they do promote harder, Tricia Ford's still gone.
Yeah. And even if the roster doesn't change, right? Even if no players leave, one of the things we talked about at the end of the season with the loss of Loomis and the loss of Puck is
yes,
big losses, right? But the consistency, the leadership that you still have from Coach Ford, that's the specific thing that we we talked about, is that she provides a little consistency and leadership next year. That's also gone.
Losing again. We lose in the offseason, Shane.
It's the losing Trisha Ford hurts, right? But it's not just that. Losing CTT hurt, but that program was not in the position that softball's in, right? It's not like they're getting better every year. They're on the verge of breaking into the College World Series. ASU women's basketball is kind of middling, right? It's not they're not world leaders. They're not ASU softball. You lose everything that you lost in CTT in a way in Trisha Ford, and then some. You lose the consistency. You lose the leadership. You lose the culture. You lose all of that. And that's what hurts the most.
We talk about the leadership, but the coaching too.
Yeah, that too. Obviously, Sydney Sanders is amazing. She doesn't become the best freshman in the country, one of the best freshmen in the country, and the best freshman in the conference without Trisha Ford, right? So I don't know. I think it's really the questions, right? Wondering how far this program might fall now is what makes this so difficult. It's just it's the confusion that comes with it.
They won the Pac-12. They won the Pac-12 Coach of the Year. And again, man, it's just we talked when we were out at the games watching them. Some of the coaching decisions that. At first we're okay, interesting that Ford's doing this, or adjustments that we saw that she made that quite clearly paid off. But those are things that you get from an experienced coach, right? She's been coaching since 2002 all over the country, right? She's been at Fresno State. She's been at ASU. If everything I'm looking at is correct, she's only ever had 2 losing seasons coaching as a head coach, and those came in her first 2 years coaching. Other than that, she's never had.
I'm just going to start focusing on the times that she messed up, right? Why did she put Miley McLemore in against Danielle Williams when Danielle Williams is the best pitcher that this team has seen? No, I know. It's there's so few times to focus on, even if you wanted to.
Literally, what was their final record this year? 43 and something? 43-10, 43-11, maybe, if you count the super regional losses. You just can't. And again, the biggest loss. People are going to leave, whatever. But the biggest loss is going to be 5 years from now when all of these other schools, SEC schools, are getting recruits that Trisha Ford could have brought here, right? Because we saw the stars that she has brought to Tempe. She's brought stars, quite literally All-Americans as freshmen. And those are players that don't come here without Trisha Ford.
And another thing that I just thought about is like next year, the conference looks different. Like they have a Pac-12 tournament next year. The leadership that a coach like Coach Ford can provide in a situation like that.
Stop it.
Like,
Stop.
I mean, like now that's gone too. So it's just.
Hey, positivity, guys. Anything?
No, dude. Fuck it. There is no positivity.
I
here.
have
got
something
something
positive for you. We won some bets tonight. We won some bets
We
on the
did.
Avalanche.
Hey, go Avs, baby. Go Avs.
Don't want to talk about that. Here's some actual maybe something. U of A, they replaced their legendary coach a while ago. We'll get to that too. But in softball, Caitlin Lowe came in, took them to the Women's College World Series, first year.
Yeah.
She was a former player, but maybe there's something instilled. The only thing though that's so different
Maddie
from any
Hackworth, the
program
head coach.
is how many times
Wait a
you
minute.
heard. Stop it.
What-
How many
what'd you-
times? Stop it.
Hey,
How many
wait,
times, guys? I'm gonna kill you. How many times you heard about what she did for them as people, and it was so CTT-esque, and that's not something you just instill in someone. I'm sure that Jeff can bring some of the same qualities, but again, you don't often get coaches that will recruit you since the 8th grade. And that just scares the shit out of me. It just sucks. It just really, really, really sucks. Conference of Champions.
No,
Yes.
Connor has it right. Get this team a video board and the culture changes.
Oh my gosh, stop it. Connor, you don't know what you've done. Sean has been talking about this for a while now. Shane, you bring up a good point of she's recruiting players. Again, we go back to Sid, where she recruited her back in the 8th grade. How many Sid Sanders do we not even know about that she has been recruiting that long now?
This is so
that are not going to come here anymore.
This.
That are not going to. I guarantee you, they don't come here anymore. Like that's just not how it is. Because you don't commit to these programs. You commit to a woman like Tricia Ford, who, as Sid has said, as Jazz has said, as Alina has said, was like a mother to them.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I think, as I said, the uncertainty of all this is tough. But with the uncertainty of it comes the possibility that it stays good, right? You look, and I know I bring this up a lot, but U of A men's basketball, right? They went through something very difficult that hard or torpedoes a lot of programs, right? And they lost their coach who had created that program or had built that program to what it was. They lost that, and they got better. Like, and not to say that they're just going to get better overnight with a different head coach, right? But if Ray manages to do this correctly, because I know we like to focus on the Herm hire, he's made some good hires, right?
Yeah, Tricia Ford was one of them.
Yeah, exactly. If he manages to do this correctly and gets a coach that the players that are currently on this roster and some of the recruits can rock with, then maybe they can have a little bit of continuity. So yeah, obviously the gut reaction is to be negative, but it's like I said, uncertainty means that things can be good too, right? Yeah. It's just tough not knowing.
No, like
I think it's tough to see.
Stop it.
It's tough to see right now. And again, we make jokes about it, but like again, I just want to equate this to experience that I've got dealing with a coaching situation similar to this, where a big time coach leaves. The reason that Notre Dame, back when Brian Kelly left and they made the hire with Marcus Freeman, was so strong. The reason that Notre Dame has the #1 recruiting class in football in 2023 and was able to keep so many recruits in 2022 is because the players were very vocal when Brian Kelly left of who they wanted to see. Jack Swarbrick, the athletic director at Notre Dame, a phenomenal athletic director, came to the team captains, which I would love to see Ray do in this situation.
100%.
Bring the team captains together, get their thoughts, because that's your heart and soul to the clubhouse right there, right? You're not going to have a relationship as an athletic director with every single player on the team. You need to have a relationship with those captains during this time, especially ones that are looking at one more year of eligibility left, or a girl like Sid, who does have a lot of time left. Get that relationship and make it, I don't want to say make it a joint coaching search because it's what you want, but get their input. Let them feel like they're heard, because they just quite literally lost someone who they've all called a mother to them. Let them sit in your office, welcome them, and just get their thoughts on the situation. Do they want to see Harger? Would they like the program to reach out? Would they want, maybe we joked about it, a former player like Hackbarth to come in and do something? Like, you never know. You never know as a coach, bro.
Hey, why not? She was just in the locker room.
Exactly what Connor says. Involve them in the hiring process. Yeah. It's something that Notre Dame did, and it's worked out very, very well with Marcus Freeman. And again, that gets not only the girls involved in it, but you're going to get the fan base involved in it too.
Do you think he does that?
Fuck no, I don't think he does that. But I think that's what he should do. If I was the athletic director, that's what I would do. But again, maybe I don't know. I think that's the logical thing to do. But we'll see how big of a high horse Ray is sitting on right now, and if he wants to make the right decision or if he wants to make the Ray decision.
I would love to talk to some of these softball players, even just off the record, to hear what this process is like in the next month. Just kind of hear what happened, and I want to know exactly if they heard anything. I'm sure Ford has reached out to all of them, but I want to know if they've heard anything from the athletic department, if they have gotten any type of support, or it's just a waiting game, because man, that hurts. But question, if ASU wins that super regional, do you think there's any chance that she would have stayed, going through that experience, going to the Women's College World Series, even if they got pummeled by Oklahoma?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I think if that kind of time, obviously it's a big difference, like being in the Women's College World Series versus not. But I think if literally one game is the difference, I don't know. I just don't really see it. I think she was probably, I don't know. Like I think we'll probably learn more in the coming days. Obviously, don't know what this process was like, how she came to this decision. But if she was thinking about, leaving, I don't think that anything short of probably winning the College World Series would have changed that.
I don't even think that would have changed, because she's been to the Women's College World Series. She's coached an Arizona State team.
Yep.
To a Women's College World Series with a phenomenal team. I think she knew she quite literally accomplished everything she could do in the Pac-12 this year, right? We didn't really touch on it today, but UCLA, yes, they got embarrassed in game 2 against Oklahoma, but they handed Oklahoma their third loss of the season this year, okay, in Oklahoma City in the Women's College World Series semifinals. ASU swept that UCLA team.
Yeah.
Or did they lose one? Regardless, they won that series. Okay.
They lost one, yeah.
They lost one. They swept U of A. They swept Oregon State. They did quite literally everything they could in the Pac-12 this year. I think she's a very smart woman, and I think she understood that at this point she may have peaked at this specific program, because again, the SEC is a completely different beast in sports just in general, and I think she realizes that. She's a young woman. She's 44 years old, and she's going to go make a lot more money turning around a program than she did here. And I think there was an athletic director, and I think there was a university president at Texas A&M that proved to her that they would value her. And I don't think she necessarily felt that or got that here, because if you feel supported and if you feel loved by a program and you feel like you're getting your worth, which again, I do not think she was getting, and we talked about very early on in the season that Tricia was not getting her worth, then I think you stay, right? Why would you leave a place you are happy, right? That's what it always comes down to for me when it comes to coaching. You could talk about money, you could talk about championships, but the very thing that we place so much importance in, not just in sports, but in life, is a happy situation.
Yeah.
You don't leave somewhere if you are happy.
And I
don't care how much more money.
That's why I understand your SEC arguments and paying and everything. But at the end of the day, you can only really look at a couple people here, and it's the head of ASU. It's just like you should have done better to keep this type of talent around. And I think, as Josh said at the top of the show, turn me all the way down.
Yeah, we inside.
Connor, I saw Connor had a question in there. I wanted to get to it, but I didn't see it. Now with the news, how quick does ASU react to hiring a new coach? You got to think fans momentum. To answer that question, I think you got to go fast. But again, this I can't imagine will be official from the program until tomorrow. When that is official and whatever, I think, again, I don't know how Ray's going to handle this. But I can't imagine that you are going to want to make your decision by the end of the month, because again, you are in the best conference in terms of softball. UCLA, Oregon State, Arizona, Oregon, they're all watching. They are all fucking licking their lips and smiling at the fact that Ray just botched this coach, man, because quite literally she could have gone down, if she's not already, as the greatest ASU softball coach to roam Tempe.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It is what it is at this point. Again, if you're just joining us for the tail end of this, we're on an emergency pod because of a report by Rounding Third Base Softball that Trisha Ford is leaving Arizona State softball to become the next head softball coach at Texas A&M. Several people confirming that report is true.
What, Sean?
It's A&M. Like, come on, they're weirdos. Texas A&M Aggies are weirdos. That place is a cult. They suck. No one wants to live in College Station.
Except for Trisha Ford, and she deserves to do whatever she wants because she was fantastic this year.
Yeah,
a couple closing points.
Hats off to them.
One thing I do want to say is this hurts a lot, but and I know what's so scary is the opportunity that presents people leaving and players leaving this program. But if this team stays together, I have full confidence in them that they will be able to make another run like this.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of if. And I think we need to give a lot of credit also to what this team has been able to do. And one quick thing as well. Please, for the love of God, stay at ASU. Please.
Is this your pitch?
Please. Yes, please.
Everyone
goodness.
From Unixa and Riley to Jazz, Sydney, Mac, all of you. It's
not just, again, it's like Shane said, stay. But like you guys said, we're not talking about the future of 2-3 years now. The championship window, we're looking far past that. Now you're looking at girls that would have been here 5, 7, 8, 10 years from now that are just simply going to be out-recruited. So it's tough. It is what it is. Shane, any final thoughts before I do this lovely ad read that we've got? Sean, any final thoughts on this heartbreak on a Monday evening?
I'm sure I'll have more
Unlucky?
after I sleep on it, but yeah, unlucky. I got just about everything off my chest.
Unlucky. Well, on that note, Sean did mention earlier that we did win some coin on that Avalanche Edmonton Oilers game, and it was a hell of a hockey game. If you missed it, and we bet on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PHNX. And guess what? Right now, you can make any $5 bet during the NBA Finals and get $150 in free bets instantly. The NBA Finals Game 3, Boston Celtics, Golden State Warriors. We've got Wednesday. The series is tied up at 1 apiece. This Game 3 is headed to Boston, so it should be a good one. That's promo code PHNX, only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. We've got 21 plus Arizona only gambling problem. Call 1-800-STEP. New customers only. A minimum of a $5 deposit. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for more details. And go check out the show notes for even more details, depending on where you are placing your bet and where you are using your promo code. But for now, guys, we appreciate you tuning in to this emergency podcast. It hurts. But if you enjoy
the next thing we get to watch is ASU football. Cannot wait.
If you enjoy the content that we provide for you here at PHNX_Sun Devils, head over to our social, give us a follow. We really appreciate it. Again, at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow Shane at Shane Beef. You can follow Sean DePaz at Sean_DePaz.
As always.
As always.
I just hit a bet on DraftKings and it doesn't feel the same.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. This is actually.
Let me end the show with this. We inside the bathtub in the fetal position crying, David says.
Yes,
Thank you, David. Thank you. I do sit down in the bathtub when I'm showering sometimes when I'm sad, and tonight will be one of those nights.
Yeah, 100%. This will be our Tuesday episode. So
This will be our last show ever.
We are also going to Texas A&M.
We will be live on Wednesday after we take a day to process all of this information. But for now, peace.